So this week we are going to start our training on SQL. When I was designing the course, I put a lot of thought into like what to add in this class, and then I spoke to a lot of people about like a lot of people in large companies about what are the software packages or what are some of the skills that they expect their employees to have that would make them valuable in the company. Like, what does it mean to have data analytics skills? And then SQL came up quite a few times about like managing database, being able to extract information from database, not really like database management, but just to be able to retrieve data and then analyze that data. So once I started hearing more and more the name like SQL come up, that's when I knew that this is definitely something that is worth looking into, right? Like you can develop a lot of those skills on your own, but to at least give you the basic framework of what SQL does. So SQL is basically a language which is used like for database management. Um, so there are quite a few different database management systems that that companies use. These are mostly large, like it's these are database large database management systems where multiple people can connect, like hundreds of people can connect, and the system will be able to handle that. So I did look into like MySQL, Oracle, like a few other applications, but it's for someone who has never used SQL before. I think that can be too much to take on in the first case. So the other way of going about it was to use something like SQLite. So SQLite, it's a lightweight or a lighter version of these database management systems, and this is a platform that is great when you are a beginner and trying to learn the whole database, like relational database management system, where you're working independently, you don't have too many users or too many people trying to connect to the server. So by using SQLite, we don't have to like you don't have to connect to a particular server. Everything is housed within your computer. Your data is housed within your computer. Um, your application is housed within your computer. So the focus is more on learning the language SQL than using all these different applications, because the core language that is transferable across these applications. So I thought let's make the interface and all this simpler, um, the process simpler, and then just focus on the language and be able to understand what these commands are, right? You'll have to install a software, learn a whole new platform. So again, I wanted to keep the schedule light. So let's just focus on the SQL language this week, installing, getting familiar with SQLite. So there's just a practice assignment. It's a very simple practice, I think it is a very simple practice assignment. I think there are 6 questions. I believe the last question is a little of a doozy, but the other 5, it's pretty straightforward. I used the same data set as the one that you saw for week 2. So the one with like caller ID, call waiting, car price, income. So it's the same data set. So that way you're familiar with what's in the data set, and some of the questions are similar to what you were answering in week 2's assignment. So this is the book. It's quite reasonable in Amazon. Uh, I thought this book was really it's very simple to read, easy to read. Examples are very simple to follow, so I liked it. And it's just like 133 pages. It's a very small book. This is the one that I used. I did take a lot of like some snippets from that book, and I added it for you. And this is a quote that we got from one of the advisors of School of Business and Entrepreneurship's advisory board. So this advisory board was put in place to sort of advise the dean on latest trends of what is happening in the job market, to keep us current, to know, like, to always know what is happening in the field, to reduce that disconnect you sometimes have with academia and practitioners, to reduce that gap. This advisory board was put in place. So this is what one of the advisors had to say about analytical skills. So he talked specifically a little bit about SQL. So programming is required for most analytical roles. SQL programming is key to basic data extraction or manipulation. Generally, SQL is universal across programming languages. Yeah, sort of trying to emphasize on the importance of learning SQL. So I have some other reading material, like short reading material for you. This website here, this will take you to the download page to get SQLite Studio. So we are using SQLite, but for the interface we're using we're I forgot the exact word for it, but we're using SQLite editor. Yeah, so we're using an editor, this SQLite Studio editor, which gives you an easier interface um, to run your codes in. Right? So there's the setup instructions. So this is a chapter from the book. I just used one chapter. So that walks you through the instruction process. And then I've also attached a database that is used in the example for. I use this in the example for select function, and then it's also used in your setup. Okay. There's a video that you can follow for the installation process and to get familiar with the SQLite Studio interface. So once you download it, you're going to see something like this. This is where your database information will be. This is where you'll be working. We'll have an editor, so you'll have the page for your writing queries, and then have a page to show your results. You can adjust how much you want. And this is where all your learning material are. So select from and where. These are the queries that we are going, the commands that we are going to focus on this week. So some of the major commands of the SQL language are select, from, where, having, group by, order by. Let me think if I'm missing anything. Some join commands. So that's what we're going to go over in this course. So again, I kept it light for this week. We're only going to go over select, from, and where. But next week, when you're more familiar with the platform, we have ironed out some of the kinks of the interface and all those sort of things. Then we can move more into the functions next week. Okay. Okay. You have videos here. So the videos over here use the Rexon Metal database and then this database over here. So please download them and try to replicate what I'm doing in those videos. So you'll have two of them, one for select and from commands, and then one for where commands. There are some basic instructions too over here of what these commands do. Okay. Great, and that's most of your learning material. One of the videos is quite long, it's about 20 minutes, so allow yourself some time. And then you can start working on your practice assignment. Okay. All right, hope you enjoy this week's learning material. One other thing for this week's assignment, when you are submitting it, please submit a Word document with your queries. And alrighty then, hope you enjoy this week learning material, and then you have a better understanding of SQL language. Thank you. Take care. Bye.